Before we get started with the show, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Global Training Center. As trade compliance professionals, you want to make sure that your procedures and documentation are completed as correctly as possible to avoid any delays and possible fines. We provide a range of trade compliance courses that will fit your needs. From in-person or web training to recorded on-demand courses, we can train one or even thousands on your team through your learning platform or on our portal. We can even customize a private session for your team. Go to globaltrainingcenter.com to find out more.
Hey, folks, we're ready for another show for Simply Trade. We've got a special one here for today, a Simply Trade Events. Renee Cuccarelli is sitting in for Lalo Solorzano, and I'm hoping that I have pronounced that right. I think I'm getting better at that, Renee.
Yeah, Andy, you're better than I am, for crying out loud.
I love it. I love it. Well, with that, I will say that it is springtime. It is the beginning of, we've already had several conferences that we've been able to attend from a Simply Trade. And so there's more and more coming out here and whatnot. But you and I got to finally meet each other face to face.
That was so cool.
Oh, man, out at it was, I started to say Long Beach. It wasn't the Long Beach one. San Diego. Okay. Yeah. But it was still cool out there. That's the one thing about this springtime. It's like a tease. Here's beautiful sunshine, beautiful blue skies. And as I would say, put bumps on the goose because it's still chilly outside, right?
That's right.
So we've got some great guests. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we got lucky in San Diego. It's been raining in California. We had like a real winter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the mudslides. Oh, my gosh. You guys have really had it. So that's bad. Anyway. Okay. So we have today, we're going to talk about the NCBFAA. And for those that don't know what that is, let me see if I get this right, Megan and JD, to say what we're going here. The National Customs Brokers and Freight Forwarders Association. Is that right?
So close. So close. The National Customs Brokers and Forwarders Association of America. 1F, 2 A's. It took me a long time to learn that after I...
Well, I don't feel so bad, but you know me, my elevator doesn't make it all the way to the top sometimes. So, okay, Sam, thank you for getting that right. All right, so JD Gonzalez, you are the elected chair or president, or what's your title now with the association?
And currently, I actually am the current president of the NCBFAA, and I'm representing over 1,300 members. So thanks for inviting us here.
All right. And we also have, so JD Gonzalez is on, and then we have Megan Montgomery. Megan and I go back a ways, and what a great, you are such a gem, and I just love being around you. You're always just a blast to be with.
Thank you. I tell my members, and I mean it, every day I wake up and I feel lucky to get to have this job and to represent them. So it's really fun.
I love it. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about, now you are, Megan, you're in the DC area there, right?
Yep, I'm the executive director of the NCBFAA. So I get to work with JD in my primary role as the coordinator, and JD's, thankfully for us, his volunteer role as president.
Well, you know, JD, you've got the thing where you would be considered the eye candy of the association, that you're out there presenting things, pushing the issues, and poor Megan is the official herder of cats, trying to get that organization together and does a great job with it. So is that a pretty good sum of?
Yeah, you know what, Andy, that sums it up quite well. I tell you what, Megan is just the right hand. She takes care of everything and makes it real easy for me. So, and I just feel really privileged to be up there at the top right now. So.
Well, you guys have a conference that we're going to get to see each other face to face again here in just about, 10 days, I guess?
Yeah, the staff starts leaving in 6 days, 5 days. And yeah, the folks start rolling in on Friday for Saturday meetings.
Well, I'm looking for, man, I am as giddy as a filly on a spring morning to get to see everybody and see what's going on with things. But JD, okay, so as we're gearing up folks have already signed up. I doubt if there's any other slots left because you probably have a sold out situation here. So as we're gearing up for this, what's the main things that you're looking at this year's conference that you're pushing for, and what people can expect, I guess, to come out of the conference?
More than anything else, participation and just getting engagement in it with a membership. Because the fact is, we get to meet all our members at this particular time. Last year we had 700. We're close to hitting the same numbers again this time. We're a little over 650, I believe. And I tell you what, it's just an opportunity to sit there one-on-one, get to know who the members are, get to know what the needs are, and all the challenges going on throughout customs right now. A lot of, I tell you what, we had meetings there in DC just yesterday, and looking forward to sit there and see how we can outreach to our members, outreach to the trade as well, and see how we can just improve and make a better situation considering the political environment, and also in addition to the trade environment that's going on right now. So.
Well, to that point, let me jump in and say something here real quick. For our listeners, this is one of those things where these are customs brokers and the freight forwarders, and they're getting together for their annual conference in this one. And you may be looking at it going, well, why should I even listen to this? Or what's the big deal? There are some very serious issues that will affect you as an importer and exporter. That this is your group that actually works as an advocate for you, not only as service providers that there are issues they have to deal with, but they have to do strategic planning and dealing with their own committees and whatnot to, advocate on behalf of the importing and exporting community. So this is one of those areas where you probably need to be aware of what they're faced with or what they're working on. And if you don't care for something, or if you have a question, this gives you a little tidbit here to where you need to ask your service provider, hey, what's the story on this issue? Because using your brokers as an information source is so vital. And that's one thing before we go too much further into that, Renee, I guess I'm going to defer to you as in your past history of being in the compliance arena and whatnot in the aerospace industry and all that. Would you rely on your brokers and I guess the freight forwarders and all that to help keep you abreast of what's going on in the industry?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But we took it upon ourselves as an organization to make sure we were informed. I would say we collaborated and partnered with them versus relied, which I think is a good stance for most importers and exporters because they're a great partner. Sometimes they're up in front, and industry associations like NCBFAA. I almost said FFA.
That's FFA. There you go. I'm like, okay, I'm going to show my calf here or whatever. No, wrong deal.
Yeah, I do that. Oh my gosh. But we just got to remember FAA, right? But anyway, the groups like that have the legislative presence and represent us are so important. And the partnership. So that's how I approached it during my career, more of a partnership.
Megan, let me come to you and real quick, as far as the conference, as it's coming up here and whatnot, I can imagine you really start planning soon as the main conference is over. You're already planning for the next year. So it's probably been almost a full year-long process in getting things together. From your position and all that, trying to get folks involved, I imagine there's the old 80-20 rule. 80% of the work's done by 20% of the folks involved, and that 20% is always so active. Are you seeing that, or do you see a broader base of involvement and volunteerism, if you will, from the membership?
Yeah, so we are very lucky. When I left AAEI, I thought I will never love an organization more than I loved AAEI and my members. And then I got to land here at NCBFAA, and I found out that wasn't true, right? I have a special spot in my heart for AAEI, but man, Andy and Renee, our members come together. They come together with their competitors, which I think is, important to note, to solve problems that affect our clients, our industry, our all of our folks that are doing this work, our transportation partners. And you're right, Renee, what we want as our industry is we want to be partners with valued partners with our clients. When our clients are facing an issue, we want them to come to the NCBFAA. And we're very, very lucky that throughout the government, we are really thought of as not just, another trade association, but really the highest level of compliance. We were meeting with CBP yesterday, and CBP's comments were, we know that the NCBFAA member is the most compliant, member broker that we can find out there, because they're active, they're engaged, they know what's going on. And we've got a lot of different folks who are engaged sort of to their need. A lot of our folks are very small shops. They read the MMB, they put in, they email in when they have a question. That's a great way to be involved. A lot more of them sit on committees. They helped draft things. They helped, liaise with the local trade associations. There is a place for everyone here at the NCBFAA.
Well, if anybody is a new licensed customs broker, or if you've gone for the exam, or and you've passed and you're in that process of getting vetted and qualified and whatever, this is an organization you really should be definitely interested in joining and getting involved with and staying abreast. Even if you don't get to go to the conferences, it is such a valuable, resource, staying up to date on things now and whatnot. So I highly, recommend it. But JD, let me come to you here with the role that you're playing. Is this something where, as an elected official, if you will, of the organization, and you're representing, you said 1,300 members, putting forth the agenda, if you will, the top priorities for the organization, is that something that you do in a vacuum, or do you have an executive committee, or do you work with the whole membership, or how do you guys look at it and say, you know what, here are the issues that we need to deal with, and here's the priority of what we're going to try and accomplish?
You know what, Andy, that's a good question, and thanks for asking it. And I tell you what, it's a team that we have. And I tell you what, it's teamwork within the group that we have as volunteers. More details, we start off with the executive committee. In addition to that, we also have various committees that are involved with, the PGAs, in addition to the transportation, and they come up with all the information that we need to go ahead and provide and disseminate to our members. On top of that, we also deal with a affiliate presidents network that we go out there and reach to all the smaller associations. So we're like the mothership, reaching out to everybody, and then we get information from the bottom, working its way to the top, and then filter it out and decide what we're going through, in addition to communication with customs as well, because they're going out there on top of keywords. What's that? Right now, you hear the hot topics, de minimis, Type 86, you hear 21st century framework, all that's coming out there, and we try to decipher, try to make sure that we have our participation involved, also give the key elements to customs to make sure this really works, and we feel this really works for all of us, make it a win-win for the entire community. So it's a team effort. I'll tell you what, right now I have a StarCast team that's working great for all of us. So.
And
well, as we're
Andy,
go ahead, Megan.
Yeah, if I can just add that, I think in addition to all of our volunteer members, we are incredibly lucky to have, frankly, I think the best counsel in the industry. We've got Ashley Craig of Venable, we've got Lenny Feldman and Nicole Bivens-Collinson and Ned Steiner, STR, and we have Cindy Thomas, who has been with us with the RAC committee for 40 years, almost 40 years. And, our members get to have access to counsel that, frankly, very few of them could access on their own. And we have got just excellent guidance to kind of navigate where we need to go with the industry.
Well, I can tell you, you've mentioned some powerhouse attorneys there that are phenomenal. I do know several folks within the Venable organization that, man, you're talking about some influential law firm there. That is a great one. Lindsay Meyer in particular is a good friend, and I love her to death. I've been trying to get her on the show because she is so phenomenally knowledgeable on things. But Lenny, Lord have mercy. Everybody knows Lenny. And if you go to a conference and you miss, and Lenny's there and you miss him, you weren't looking for him because he's 10 feet tall and he's strutting around.
Sounds like Andy Shiles.
I don't know about that. I got to say this. Everybody says, I look for the cowboy hat, and if it's in there, it's like, okay. He's like, all right, folks.
Different accent for sure.
That's for sure. JD, all right, let's talk a minute about some of the priorities for, I guess, as we're leading into it. There's been stuff in the past. We know about all kinds of supply chain disruptions that is, both import and export affiliated, especially with even the Red Sea situation and the Houthis attacking ships out of Yemen. The steamship lines have elected on a lot of to stop going through that Suez Canal area and the Red Sea area and all that, and they're going down around the Cape. Well, that has caused a delay in some of the positioning of those ships, as well as the containers and the resources and all that. And then secondarily, it's affected Europe probably worse than the U.S. initially. But then the secondary thing is that in the positioning of these things, knowing all these kind of different supply chain situations that are going on, what do you see going forward as some of the key things that your association is focused on in the next year here?
And the one thing I know, just to bring it a little bit closer to home, just looking at Baltimore, what we see happening there in Baltimore, we're also working on diversion, and we're just working on diversion and working with the customs to make sure that we can kind of get the flow of trade. On top of that, just a little background, we're also involved with DHS, and we're in a supply chain resiliency group as well. So we're having communication with the other associations, obviously the ports, in addition to the land borders, and just having discussions how we can improve any kind of situations that are going through, and also how we can kind of move forward in the best manner to protect the supply chain industry. Like you mentioned earlier, we are the boots on the ground. We're in the middle. There's also the transportation aspect as well. So we have to make sure we work together as one unit to make sure that we get the flow of supply chain. Considering, we just had the pandemic a few years ago, and also during that time frame, there was a lot of issues. There was a learning curve for a lot of us. So we're trying to learn from those mistakes to sit there and move forward. That doesn't happen again as well. So
I love it. Megan, do you get a lot of requests from different government agencies that are, shall we say, wanting the opinion of the Brokers Association?
Well, whether or not they want our opinion, they do get it.
You're going to give it anyway. I love it.
Yeah, we work, of course, closely with the FMC, with CBP, DHS, with Commerce, with Census, those kind of what you think of as the traditional trade touching agencies. But we have cargo, we touch every HTS, we touch every PGA, and PGAs present a unique challenge because they often don't know very much about trade. Trade regulation of trade is not their primary shtick, right? When you think of like the FDA or the EPA, their job is to keep food and chemicals that come in and that, transfer around our company or our economy safe and secure. They are not primarily traders, although that is an increasingly large part of what they do. And so when agencies either get a new mandate from Congress or they come up with, new regulations for trade, we really try and work with them to explain how the current trade process works. APHIS is a good one. FSIS has been very active. AMS Organics. We want regulations that are implementable, that are fair, that are reasonable, and that do what they intend to do. And so with thanks to our RAC team, which you guys have met, a couple of them, Mike LaHare, Karen Damon, and then of course our powerhouse, Cindy Thomas, they spend a tremendous, tremendous amount of time working through the PGAs that impact our industry.
Any other last little items here for your conferences that's coming up? Obviously, there's going to be some updates from that. Simply Trade's going to be at the conference, so we're going to get to interview some folks. We're looking forward to it. I'm telling you what, it's just, I am really excited, and y'all are going to be so excited with some of the equipment we're bringing. I'm telling you that your conference is going to be the first one that we're opening up this, the cameras and the audio side of things. So I'm telling you what, you're going to be able to strut around like a, Banny Rooster in the barnyard. So it's going to be looking good.
We've got a great lineup. For those of you who are not registered, watch what comes out from your brokers as you touch trade. We've got the Commissioner of Customs. We've got the Chairman of the FMC. We've got David Axelrod. Then we've got a whole bunch of government folks. We really have we think kind of the best folks to talk. We've got a lot of the PGAs to talk about the issues and to send the attendees home with immediately actionable information that will make their clients' lives better. And we're really excited.
That's really, Perry. If you are a member of the Brokers and Freight Forwarders Association here, make sure that you're looking at what action do you need to take. If you're not attending, be on the lookout to see what you can do, because I know y'all have a very active website. You're updating things and all that. So, and the communication thereof. So it's like, what action do you need to take away after this conference? JD, any comments from you on your side of things?
No, thanks, Andy, and thanks for promoting our event that's coming up here in the next couple of weeks. We start on, I believe, on the 14th to the 17th, and we're starting off with entertainment with a golf tournament as well. So hopefully everybody can attend, and we welcome everybody. And please reach out. I'm always available. I'm looking forward to hear your ideas and anything we can do to make things better for the association. In addition, for the conferences as well, for future conferences. So thank you.
Fantastic. Renee, anything from you on your observations from what we've done? Obviously, I've talked the horns off of Billy Goat and the New York Second today.
No, I just want to thank JD and Megan and the whole team at the association. I mean, the work you do is phenomenal, important, pinnacle, and needed. So thank you for being there. It's just awesome to have you guys.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. And, I don't know if it's too late for me to be able to get in and figure out on the flights and all that on the golf. I love to play golf, but I can't hit the broadside of a barn if my nose was stuck to it. So I don't know.
We do a round, I think it's called a round robin, where the number one player in your foursome goes against everybody other's number one player.
The best ball. Is that best ball?
I don't know. I don't play golf, to be fair.
I don't either. Yeah.
Well, let's put this. I'd be far from being that top number one player. I'd be the one that's the tail dragger there. So,
That's all right. Everybody has a good time. That's what's important.
Well, that's it. And it's going to be in Fort Lauderdale. So, folks, I'm telling you what, it's just like, got to get down there and work on the tan and, get some sunshine and all that. So, also, seriously, looking forward to a great conference. For those that are listening again, we greatly appreciate your listenership. We are trending up. It is just humbling. Lalo and I really love, when we go out, we are having more and more people coming up, and the first time that they've met us and all that, and we greatly appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to the Brokers Association, getting down there and rubbing elbows with y'all and having a good time. So with that, folks, have a great day, and we look forward to our next show.
Thanks so much, Andy. Thanks, Andy and Renee, for having us on. We feel very lucky.
Thank you very much for joining us. Simply Trade is brought to you by the generous contributions of Global Training Center. You can follow the show and GTC on LinkedIn or Twitter and other social networks. Make sure you check out the show notes in the description for a full rundown of today's show with all the important links. Also, make sure that you share this with a friend and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. We really like hearing from you. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to rate and review wherever you listen to this podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the show or would like to sponsor Simply Trade or suggest any topic you would like for us to discuss, please contact us via email at simplytrade@globaltrainingcenter.com, or you can DM us on Twitter at SimplyTradePod. Thank you again for the privilege of your time. Happy trading. Simply Trade is not a law firm or an advisor. The topics and discussions conducted by Simply Trade hosts and guests should not be considered and is not intended to substitute legal advice. You should seek appropriate counsel for your own situations. These conversations and information are directed towards listeners in the United States for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only and should not be substituted for legal advice. No listener or viewer of this podcast should act or refrain from acting on the basis of information on this podcast without first seeking legal advice from counsel. Information on this podcast may not be up to date depending on the time of publishing and the time of viewership. The content of this posting is provided as is. No representations are made that the content is error-free. The views expressed in or through this podcast are those of the individual speakers, not those of their respective employers or Global Training Center as a whole. All liability with respect to actions taken or not taken based on the contents of this podcast are hereby expressly disclaimed.